in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to craft a dynamic video sales letter that will 2 to 3x your close rate in 30 days or less. And if you don't think that you need one right now, I'm going to show you why you're actually wrong and why you should create one today. But first, let me give a quick forward. So during these past few months, I've witnessed the raw power of using sales assets to increase conversion rates and shorten sales cycles. The main sales asset one must create is a video sales letter. The difference between having one and not having one is colossal. I'm going to show you an example in a moment. In this document, I'm going to walk you through the process of crafting one step by step, okay? So here is a little flowchart showing you the power of using a video sales letter. This is just one example. This is what having a VSL does to your cold email campaigns. And this is just one very small example, okay? So on the left, we have agency owner A. And on the right, we have agency owner B. They're both launching an outbound prospecting campaign using cold email. They're both reaching out to 5,000 prospects, and they both have a 0.3% booking rate, which is a very conservative booking rate. This is at scale, but again, it's very conservative just for this example. The only difference, so they're both contacting the same amount of prospects. They both have the same booking rates. The only difference is that agency owner A has a video sales letter funnel and agency owner B does not. So agency owner A, either 10% of everyone he sends a cold email to, they're either going to, one, copy his burner domain and paste it into their Google search, or they're going to do research on his company, and both of these are going to lead them to his video sales letter funnel. And because of this, he takes 500 eyeballs from his cold email outbound campaign and he sends them to his video sales letter funnel because he actually has one. And it's a really good video sales letter like the one I'm going to show you how to make in this video. And because of that, he converts 3% of those 500 eyeballs. And because of that, just because of the video sales letter, he books double the amount of calls of agency owner B. But it doesn't stop there. Because the video sales letter is designed as a pre-selling mechanism to sell a prospect in this one, hour-long video, for example, all the people who gets on a call with him, they're viewing this video before the call. They're being sold before the call. They're being emitted sales energy before the call. They're being nurtured. They are coming closer from being an ice cold prospect into a happy paying customer from this video sales letter. And because of that, agency owner A does not just book double the amount of appointments as agency owner B, but because he's warming them up with the sales asset before every call, he has 3 times the close rate of agency owner B. So because of this, he closes 9 clients, while agency owner B only closes 1 to 2 clients. Because agency owner B doesn't have a video sales letter, so because of that, he misses out on these bonus calls, but he also doesn't have as high as a close rate because all he's doing between the time that he gets on a call with these leads is he's sending them 1 or 2 reminders, right? They're not consuming sales assets. And because of that, he's only closing at a 10% close rate. So guys, this is just one example. This is just using cold email as an example. But if you're doing outreach on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, this same principle applies. The same, data applies, right? If you're sending messages on LinkedIn, a percentage of those people are going to look at your LinkedIn profile, and a percentage of those people are going to click on the link in your bio. And if you send them to a video sales letter funnel, you're going to convert a percentage of them, right? And also just all the calls that you book everywhere, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's cold email, whether it's LinkedIn, you want to put in your pre-appointment workflow, you want to send them a link to your video sales letter, right? So you want to send them a link to it, and you want them to watch that before you get on the sales call with them. And it's going to make more sense as you go through this document. But your video sales letter is designed to sell them, right? And because they're watching this valuable video sales letter before they get on a call with you, they're already warmed up, they're already familiar with you, they're already familiar with your process, they're already sold. So your closing rate is just so much higher because you're getting on a call with all these prospects, but you're not a stranger to them anymore because of the video sales letter, right? So wherever you're at with your agency, if you are doing outbound prospecting, it makes sense for you to make your video sales letter. Like you guys can see right here, this is just one example with cold email as your distribution channel. It works on everything. This is just one example. The difference is colossal, okay? So a lot of agency owners I see in the space, they think for some reason that a video sales letter only works when you're running ads. Yes, it works really well when you're running ads, but it also works really well with outbound prospecting, which a lot of you who are watching this video are doing, okay? So guys, this is the reason why I just have to get this across, because a lot of people they think they should wait to make one. No, guys, look at this chart right here. You need to make one in these next 2 weeks, okay? So I'm gonna show you exactly how. So really quickly, I'll just run you through kind of the overview of the 14-step structure that I use for my video sales letters. So, we start with a niche-specific headline, followed by some social proof, some case studies, some evidence. Then we call out who the video sales letter's for. We have a core concept that transitions us from step 3 to step 5. After the core concept transition, we give a quick background story on ourselves. We show off any credibility. Step 6 is our thesis and our method. This is basically, the 4 activities or the 4 steps that it takes to get the desired result in the niche specific headline. Don't worry if this is confusing. I'm going to go into detail on each of these steps. After the thesis/method, we give a quick summary on the thesis/method because, people often forget, especially when you go into a lot of detail in your thesis. Then we give option 1 and option 2. Option 1 might be, doing it themselves. Well, option 2 might be working with us, and obviously we position working with us as the favorable option. Then 9, we give another identification, so again, we call out who it's for. Then we go into detail on, some more case studies. Then we give the benefits of our service. We give the features of our service. We give a call to action. And then if you want, you can give a warning. And if you have a guarantee, you can put that there. And then we give a Q&A, which basically answers the most popular questions and the most popular objections. Okay, so that's the overview. Don't worry if that's confusing. We're going to get really deep into each of these steps. So just really quick, rapid fire questions, just so you have a little bit more context. So where is a video sales letter hosted? The sales letter can be hosted on a Google Doc or a slide presentation. I prefer Google Docs aesthetically, but also because people don't expect to be pitched on a Google Doc, okay? How long should it be? Anywhere from 20 minutes to a couple of hours. And I'm going to show you guys some examples of some that are, actually 2 hours long, okay? So how is it recorded? It will be recorded with a high quality screen recording software such as Loom, like I'm using right now, paired with a camera and a microphone. And I'd recommend reading through the VSL at least 5 times before recording so you sound smoother. Where is the VSL used? Your VSL will mainly be used in your funnels/websites and on your social media pages, and as well as you'll be using it in that pre-appointment sequence. And you can also put it in your email signature and in your email follow-ups, okay? And what makes it dynamic? So as you collect more case studies, improve your service, learn about new objections, etc., you will come back and improve your video sales letter. It will likely take you multiple iterations to create a banger. Every time you improve your service, every time you get a really good new case study, every time you hear a new objection on a sales call, you're going to come back and you're going to add that to your video sales letter, and you're going to make multiple iterations, and it's going to get better with time, okay? So it's dynamic, like a lot of other things in your agency. And I've included 4 examples of what I would consider a banger VSL. We have one for a real estate offer, we have one for a lead gen agency consulting offer, we have one for a growth consulting offer, and we have one for a sales placement offer. And again, this document will be in the description. So after you watch this video and you start making your VSL, you might want to look at some of these for inspiration to kind of see how they go about these certain steps, how they transition into different steps, right? So one of the really good examples is by Prob. He runs Generate Agent Leads. This is basically, if you're in the real estate niche, this guy is your biggest competitor. He has I believe this is a 2-hour and 8-minute video sales letter. He's following the exact framework I'm about to show you guys. So this is one of the examples. If you're in the real estate niche, this will be extra helpful. But if you're in any other niche, this is also just a really good example of a good video sales letter, okay? So I've included you guys 4 examples in here. I think that'll be very helpful. Again, document is in the description. Okay, so step 1, your niche specific headline. So your niche specific headline should be based on your product or service's transformation and hook your ideal prospect into watching your video sales letter. Think as if your prospect has just landed on your landing page. If the headline doesn't capture their immediate attention, they will leave. Creating your headline requires you to have completed basic niche research and understand your prospect's deepest desires, dreams, and fears. Keep in mind that your niche specific headline is a separate variable from your guarantee/offer. Okay, guys, this one's really important. The headline is used to capture attention and book sales calls, while the guarantee/offer is used to close the prospect on the sales call. So this is something that I see people mix up all the time in the agency space. And a really good example of this is, you guys know Serge Guattari. So like the headline of his video sales letter, the headline, the transformation on his social media pages is, I'll make it unreasonable for you not to hit $50,000 per month. But that's not his guarantee, right? That's his marketing argument. It's not his guarantee or his offer. And he uses that to generate attention. He uses that to hook people into his landing pages, but he's not guaranteeing that, okay? So I just want to make that clear. You do not want to make your niche specific headline your guarantee in most cases. You want to make it what the niche desires the most, okay? So like Prab's example, he says we help real estate agents add an additional $300K in GCI within 12 months or less, right? So this is what, like, he doesn't guarantee them $300,000 in GCI. This is just his niche specific headline that plays into their deepest desires. Because what do they want? They don't want leads. They don't want appointments. They want cold, hard cash, okay? So he knows this, and that's why he's using this in his headline. So the headline must be true, or at least somewhat true, okay? So like, yeah, not all of his clients are going to come in and hit $300,000. Or like Serge, I think it's like less than 8% of the people in his program are actually doing more than 50K per month, even though that's his niche specific headline, right? But as long as you have one person who has achieved the result using your services, you're allowed to use it in your niche specific headline, okay? So it needs to be at least true, or at least somewhat true. And if your service can't deliver the transformation in the headline, you need to either change it until you get a new case study or improve your mechanism, right? So your service has to at least be somewhat possible of hitting the number in your niche specific headline. But if it's not, you're going to want to kind of, tone it down a little bit until you acquire a case study that hit that number, or you just improve your service and you make it reasonably possible that someone who's using your service could get to that, the outcome of that headline, okay? So you can change your headline as needed until you find the iteration that works best. So again, it's fully dynamic, and you might have to make a couple changes until you find what really hooks your prospects in. And if you're having trouble coming up with your headline, you can just use this basic template below or refer to some of these examples. So the basic template is for niche, how to go from state 1 to state 2 in time frame using mechanism. And here's just a couple of examples. They aren't necessarily following this template, but they're just some examples to kind of get, give you some inspiration. And a lot of the times, like, you want to get creative with your headline. You can come with something cool. The biggest thing is that it just needs to stop your prospects in your tracks. So if I'm a real estate agent and this guy sends me a cold email and I type in generate agent leads into my search and I land here, we help real estate agents escape the rat race by adding an additional 300K in GCI. Boom, right there. I'm already hooked, right? Like 300 GCI, what? Video sales letters? What are those, right? If I'm an agent, I most likely don't know what that is, right? It's like, oh, well, everyone else is saying Facebook ads, everyone else is saying this. Well, what's a video sales letter, right? I'm already hooked, and I'm going to watch the video. So, the niche specific headline, it goes above the video, but it also goes in your video. So I'm going to be walking you guys through his actual document to kind of show you some of these steps, and you can see right here is his niche specific headline in the actual video sales letter, okay? So here's a couple examples. So this is his. We help real estate agents escape the rat race by adding an additional 300K in GCI within 12 months or less using video sales letters. For lawyers, how to go from overworked to overbooked and get 3 to 7 high-paying cases per month using artificial intelligence, okay? So artificial intelligence, that's the mechanism. And guys, what you'll notice here is no one's saying Facebook ads, no one's saying Google ads, or all these things that everyone else is saying. And this is where you want to get creative, okay? So whatever the majority of people are talking about, if you're in a sophisticated market, you don't want to say that's your mechanism. And it's this guy using artificial intelligence. He is probably using Facebook ads in his service. The only reason he can say artificial intelligence is because he has some automated follow-up that's like 10% of his service, right? So you want to get creative with your mechanism. It's like video sales letters. Like, video sales letters, these people still use Facebook ads in their service. They still use internal sales teams in their service, but because they retarget all the leads with this small little video, they've earned the right to say that they use video sales letters, right? Even though that's only like 10% of their service, but you want the mechanism to be something unique, and you can do this by kind of just adding, like, for example, artificial intelligence is trending right now. So if you add some sort of automated follow-up bot with Go High Level to your service, you've gained the right to say that you use artificial intelligence, for example, right? So you want to kind of keep this in mind when you're creating it, okay? So here's another one. This is Levy's. So for aspiring lead generation agency owners, how to build an $18,000 a month lead gen agency in 4 weeks using positive feedback loops, right? So positive feedback loops, this is just another word for testing stuff, but he kind of turned it into his own, his own mechanism, right? So you guys kind of see these examples. And then this is Nick Cosman's on how to earn your first 20 million as a growth consultant. So just the word 20 million, that will hook you in, right? And then how to go from 0 to 1 million annual recurring revenue in 12 months using artificial intelligence. That's another example. And then this one is Cole Gordon's. How we recruit, hire, and train top 1% sales reps. So you can see a lot of them are how-to. I think all of them are how-to. So pretty much all of them are how-to, except this one is we help, okay? So you guys can kind of look at these examples. You can come up with your own. You can use this template. But just remember, the base principles is that you want it to hook people in so they stop in their tracks and they want to watch the video and they don't leave your landing page. But you also want to mention a mechanism that is like this new opportunity for them, something that they haven't heard everywhere else, okay? If you can do that, your headline is going to do really well. And then the next part of the video sales letter is we start mentioning some case studies. So you can see right here, right after he gives his niche specific headline, he goes straight into some case studies. So case studies right here, okay? So after you capture your prospect's attention with your niche specific headline, you'll need to prove to them that you are a credible source of information. You want to fill this section with case studies and evidence that supports the claim in your headline, right? So we just made this really large claim. Now we need to back it up with some proof. So each case study should include a state 1, a state 2, and a time frame. Okay, so like his, for example, right here, you have state 1, paying thousands monthly to bold leads while being trapped in a 6-month contract. And then state 2 is basically 262 leads in 30 days, 22 appointments scheduled, 1 listing buyer, right? It's the state 2 of what she got from using his service. And then this is the time frame, within 12 months, okay? So that's the state 1, state 2, and then the time frame. And then evidence, you want to add evidence in to each case study. So evidence may include a screenshot of a Stripe account, an ad account, a Go High Level dashboard, a positive conversation that happened over Messenger with a client. So for example, for Probs, this is his evidence right here, right? He's showing screenshots between his clients talking to him right after the case study. So right here, he listed out a ton of case studies, and then he's backing them up with evidence. So right here, you have a ton of screenshots between him and his clients happening over Facebook Messenger. Right here, you have some more case studies. And then look, another piece of evidence, which is really good, is a screenshot of his Facebook Ads Manager. And then showing that he spent $500,000 on Facebook ads, right? So this is just all evidence that backs up the claim in the case studies, okay? So what you want to do is you want to pair these case studies with some sort of evidence. For a lot of you guys, that's probably going to be an ad account or Go High Level screenshot, or maybe, a positive email between you and a client. But some sort of piece of evidence that really, makes the case study seem much more believable and just adds more social proof. And for those of you who don't have case studies, a common misconception is that you can't create a video sales letter without case studies or required evidence. And this actually isn't true. So obviously it's better to use a case study. If you have one, use it, right? But if you don't, you can still make a video sales letter. And all you do is you use third-party data. So for example, this might be scientific studies. You can quote people who have a lot of authority in the niche. So if you're in the marketing world, you can quote something that Dan Kennedy said that kind of backs up your claim. You can quote books. You can say this book was written on this and it has to do with your headline. You can use scientific studies, or you can use your own collected data, right? So say, for example, that you've ran cold email campaigns for yourself, but you haven't done it for other people. Well, you can use the data from your own cold email campaigns as evidence, right? Even though it's not technically a case study from someone else, it's your own collected data that proves the point of the headline, right? So if you don't have a case study yet, don't worry about it. You can still make the first iteration of your VSL You just want to use some sort of evidence that backs up that claim. That's, either from a book, a scientific study, your own collected data, or even better, it's from like a source who has a lot of authority in your niche. Okay, so you want to include as many case studies and evidence as is needed to gain the viewer's trust and make your bodacious headline believable. I'd recommend including at least 3 case studies and 3 supporting pieces of evidence, right? So just minimum. If you look at Prab, he included a ton of case studies. I don't even know how to count this. There's a ton. And then he used 3 pieces of supporting evidence for all these case studies, right? And this is enough to make the person say, okay, this is believable. This person can show me how to add an additional 300K, et cetera, right? So you just need enough to basically back up your bodacious headline, okay? And then next, what we're going to do is after we've hooked them in with our niche specific title, we've immediately showed them proof so that they know that we're trustworthy. We backed up this very big claim. Then what we're going to do is we're going to call out exactly who it's for. Okay. So before introducing the content of your video sales letter, you must identify with the viewer and assure them that you truly understand their situation. The more the viewer feels like you understand them, the more they will buy into your thesis. Each identification point should align with your ideal prospect's desires, fears, failures, enemies, suspicions, and any current market trends that are taking place at the time of making your video sales letter. So you can use the chart below to organize this information. This information can be acquired through taking sales calls, reading forms, hanging out in Facebook groups, etc., right? So what you want to do is you want to copy a little thing like this. You want to have it in a spreadsheet. A lot of you guys who, follow a lot of the big marketers, you've likely already done this. But for those of you who haven't, you want to start collecting this data. You want to have this chart somewhere in a spreadsheet. Every time that you get off a sales call and you keep hearing this one desire that the people in your niche keep talking about, well, you want to add it in here, right? So whatever that desire may be, you want to add it into this chart. If they keep talking about this one fear that you're in the real estate niche, you keep getting on these sales calls and they keep talking about this fear of the real estate niche getting saturated. Well, you want to include that in here, right? Or you want to include common failures, common enemies, common suspicions, and any market trends. And the more accurate this data is, the better your video sales letter will perform. So here's an example of what an identification section will look like when finished. So who is this for? And then here's an example of the desire part. This is for you if you want to earn 10K MRR and retire your parents, right? So this right here is an example of identifying with them on their desire. And then here's an example for fear. So this is for you if you don't want to be stuck inside the 9-to-5 rat race for the rest of your life. And you remember, guys, these need to be super niche specific and they need to be accurate according to where the market currently is, okay? And then failure, this is for you if you're sending thousands of cold emails per month just to be called a spammer and end up with a near empty calendar, right? So this is a failure that a lot of people in the niche might have had. Then you have enemies. So a common enemy might be gurus. This is for you if you're tired of all the gurus promising you that all you have to do is buy their course to make 10K per month. And then a market trend. This is for you if you're scared that your current skill set will be replaceable by artificial intelligence. And if you'll notice, this is kind of a combination of fear and a market trend. So what you can do is you can take the desire, you can take the fear, you can take failure, you can combine all these different points into one "this is for you" statement, okay? So you can include as many of these points as you need, but you want to hit at least one for each of these, right? So one for desire, one for fear, one for failure, one for enemies, one for suspicion, and then you can keep adding as many as you think you need to really identify with the viewer. And when you're doing this, you want to make all these points for the ideal prospect that you want to work with. And the more accurate each of these points are, the more effective your video sales letter will be. The goal is to almost freak out the prospect because you understand their situation so much. That's really the goal of this section, okay? And then optional, after you include the who this is for section, you can do a who this is not for to filter out people who maybe aren't as good of a fit for your program, your service, etc. And the people who are a good fit, they'll kind of appreciate you a little bit more that you took the time to filter out people who it's not for, if that makes sense. And I'll show you guys Prab's real quick. And I would definitely recommend, like, while you're going through my document, I would definitely recommend going through these examples and reading through them, just kind of getting a real understanding of how all these different steps flow together. So, like, for example, this is his For You section. So he says the frustrated agent. So he says, if you're reading this, you're a solo agent or a small team, and the majority of your business is coming from referrals. Perhaps you're bleeding more than $1,500 per month with Zillow Flex just for leads to tell you they're already working with another realtor. Maybe Zillow is slowly becoming unprofitable, right? So what this is see how it's super specific to like the exact agent situation, where if an agent reads this, they're going to be kind of freaked out because they're going to be like, this is literally my exact situation, right? So failures, look right here. You've wasted hours cold calling FSBOs or expired listings wondering if this new magic script will do the trick. You're done feeling like a telemarketer, right? So that's a failure. They've wasted hours calling these FSBOs. They're wondering if, they're done feeling like a telemarketer. Okay, and then wondering if this new magic script will do the trick. Like, this is just so specific. It calls out exactly to the person he's trying to attract. Okay, so next is the core concept, and the core concept is kind of used as a transition from the identification part into the background story. And I'll kind of show you how to make this transition as smooth as possible. So what you do is you just called out who it's for. Now you want to move on to the core concept. So what this looks like is, the core concept is the one thing the viewer needs to believe in order to buy into the rest of your video sales letter. This section is used to transition from the identification section into the background story section. You will quickly tease your mechanism. So here's the template. Here's the truth. You can achieve transformation using mechanism. However, there is a problem because of reason. We are the best / only people dedicated to solving this problem for, and then the niche. So here's like a live example of it, and this is Prab. So here's the truth. You can easily net an additional $300,000 in your back pocket by using video sales letter funnels backed with organic marketing. However, most real estate agents are not equipped with the skills to do this because they've never been taught this. We're some of the only people solving this particular problem for real estate agents. So you see, you just keep this section as short and concise as possible, and do not pitch your product. You're normally just promoting some sort of gap. So like this, for example, is an information gap, right? However, most real estate agents are not equipped with the skills to do this. And then when you transition from this section into your background story, you can kind of do what Prab did. So this is his identification section. It keeps going on for a while. And then what he does is, this is his core idea. So look, see, here's the truth. Competition erodes profit. His is a little bit longer. So like, just use this as kind of like a rough example, and then you can kind of add to it. But you do want to keep it short and concise. And then you see how he transitions out of it. So after he gives the core concept, he says, here I will attempt to clear up some of the confusion as much as I can. But first, let me introduce myself. Okay? And this is how he transitions into our next step, which is step 5, which is background story / credibility. So I thought this was a really smooth transition, right? But first, let me introduce myself. So that's a smooth transition. So that's why you want to use these examples to see how they transition between the steps. So you can kind of repeat something similar for yourself. You don't want to copy them, but you definitely want to take inspiration, right? Funnel hack them, right? So background story / credibility. Since the sales letter will likely be one of the first contacts between you and the prospect, you want to give a quick background story on yourself. You want to include as much credibility in your background story as possible. So credibility can be your track record, it can be the school you went through, it can be any awards that you have, etc., right? The reality is that this stuff just helps build more, like the prospects need to have some sort of authority. You need to be in authority somehow, right? And you can do that with your track record, your school, or any of awards. Just psychologically, that's how humans work. And this is what really helps your background story and credibility section. If you don't have any of that, don't worry. I'm going to show you how to make your story effective. But if you do have, like I think Prab literally put his GPA in his background story. See, I achieved a 3.9 GPA, right? So just anything that I study psychology and sciences, like even this right here is credibility, right? So anything little that you can do like that, you definitely want to add it in, okay? And if you don't worry, I'll kind of show you how to get around that. So So you can use the storytelling framework below to get your viewers more emotionally invested in your story. The background story can be as long as you want. Just make sure that it's entertaining and plays a role in building your credibility. So right here, I have a framework for telling your story to make the viewers more emotionally involved. This is Russell Brunson's storytelling framework, one of them. The chart on the left side, this shows you what to put for that line, and then I included an example. And I noticed that Prob also, he kind of followed this exact framework. And guys, see right here is an award. It's his 2 Comma Club award. Speaking of Russell Brunson, right? But this is another example of like him using an award to boost his credibility, right? So you want to do that however you can. It does really help, no matter how cringy or whatever it is, it really does help, okay? So the first line or the first part of your story should be a quick introduction and then what did you desire? So if we go to Prab's, his quick introduction is, I've studied psychology. Now for those of you who don't know me, my name is Prab Mangat. A little bit about myself. I've studied this, And then look, this is where he says his desire. But I soon realized school wouldn't provide me the freedom I wanted, right? I didn't want a job. I had to carve my own path, right? So he's talking about this desire, this call to adventure, that he wanted freedom. That's what he desired, right? So hence, I dived into entrepreneurship, right? I'm sure many of you had the exact same epiphany the moment before venturing into real estate. So he's also comparing his desires to the people who are listening. So that's something you can do as well, okay? So it's starting with a desire, and then there's a motivation behind this desire. So like the example I used right here is wanted to close more transactions so I can take care of my newborn baby, right? So for you guys who aren't, like if you're doing a VSL for real estate agents and you're not a real estate agent, you can say your desire was you wanted freedom. You wanted to escape the 9 to 5. The motivation behind this was, again, you wanted the freedom, right? So that would be an example of another motivation. It could be anything. It's the motivation of why you got into this, okay? And then after that, you're going to say a problem you encountered on your journey to the desire. So this would be, you started journeying out for the desire and you ran into a problem. So like Prab's is, he became a real estate agent, and the problem that he faced was that he realized that he had to become an expert marketer and a salesperson to grow his business fast, right? So that was a problem that he faced, and then the solution that you found to the problem. So that might be, you were looking for a problem and then you found the solution, and normally that solution is going to be your service. So like the example I used here is, and this is just the storytelling example in this, is just someone who wanted to get high quality real estate leads. So for example, a problem they encountered, I tried every guru recommended method, door knocking, cold calling, sphere of influence, to even hiring multiple lead generation companies, and none of them could bring me high quality leads. And then the solution that he found was, after trying every guru recommended method, I started random experiments until I finally started seeing some results with TikTok ads. So for like a lot of you guys, if you're telling your story about how you got in your agency and how you started serving your niche, you could say, well, I wanted to escape the 9 to 5 so I could have freedom. That's your motivation. And then you could say, so you started a marketing agency. And then a problem that you encountered was that everyone in the real estate niche, everyone who's teaching you how to deliver the service to your potential clients, they were generating low quality leads. And so you faced this problem on your journey to the desire. And then the solution that you found to the problem was everyone else was trying to use Facebook ads, so you experimented with TikTok ads. And then after that, and it started working, right? And then the solution started working better than you imagined. So then, for example, you started running the TikTok ads and they were working 100 times better than what everyone else was using, right? The solution to the problem that you found, it worked even better. And then you started using the solution on friends / clients. So, maybe then you went to the market and you worked with a couple of trial clients using the new method that you found for TikTok ads. It also started working really well for them, right? Then the next column is that your mission was to give others the solution that was working really well with other people, right? So example, after you saw your trial clients getting really good results with TikTok ads, you knew you had to make it your mission to start helping the thousands of other agents who are still struggling to generate leads, right? So you want to find a way to turn your story into this format, and it's proven to get the reader much more, not only emotionally involved, but build a lot more trust, okay? And you don't, like, a lot of people will say to kind of get a little vulnerable. And, a lot of people who kind of study it, I don't think you should get very vulnerable, because you don't want to show any cracks in your armor, right? Because these people are going to buy from you. You do want to have as much authority as possible. You can get a little vulnerable, but a lot of people who really test this stuff say that in the long run, it kind of does end up doing more harm than good. But if you use this overall, story selling framework that, Russell Brunson uses, that Prab uses, you can look at some of the examples throughout the document, see what they did for their story. You want to kind of use this general framework to get the viewer more emotionally involved in your story, okay? So once you've told your story, then you can move on to your thesis / your method. So at this point of the sales letter, you have built a ton of rapport with the viewer, and it's finally time for you to deliver some value. So the goal of this section is to provide a roadmap of activities / steps that will achieve the transformation in the headline. Your goal in this section is to genuinely provide as much value as possible so that the viewer can walk away with valuable insights, even if they don't book a call with you. So you want your viewer to think, if I got this much value from the free video, imagine what their paid service is like, okay? And to start creating your thesis, you'll want to outline anywhere from 3 to 5 activities / steps. You can call them activities, you can call them steps, it doesn't really matter, required to achieve the transformation to your headline. So if you were to make a roadmap for someone to achieve what you use for your headline, so for example, for Prabs, his headline is 300K in GCI in 12 months or less using video sales letter. What he's doing is he's going to outline a, anywhere from a 3 to 5 step roadmap on how to do that. So like, look, this is his 5-step roadmap, right? Craft a stellar sales argument and transpose into video format. Run a direct response marketing campaigns to video sales letter funnel. Set up repeatable and scalable organic lead generation campaigns. Nurture all leads with the content. Right, so you guys get the idea. He's basically making out this roadmap of what you would need to do if you were to go after doing this, right? Making 300K in gross commission income within 12 months using a video sales letter, okay? So what you want to do is whatever your transformation is. So here's another example. So say, for example, my transformation is how to close an additional 5 to 10 agency clients in 60 days or less. My 4 activities / steps might be: activity 1, define your niche; activity 2, build outbound prospecting infrastructure; activity 3, create sales assets; and then activity 4 is iterate and scale. So you're basically mapping out the steps that the viewer would take if they were to use your service themselves. Now this is very important, and this is where a lot of people go wrong with this section of the sales letter, and it's the most important part. Well, one of them, next to social proof, and this part is very important, right? I put it in bold. Do not mention anything about your service. Pretend you are creating a roadmap to achieve the end result of your service, and your service doesn't exist. Almost like you are literally teaching someone how to do your service, and your service does not exist, okay? In the next section, you're going to position your service as the best option to implement the roadmap, okay? So after you've mapped out your 3 to 5 activities, you can call them steps, you can call them activities, you want to format them like this, okay? So what you want to do, for example, this is just one activity, so you put 1 here. The activity or step, it's the first one I used in this example. It's define your niche. Then you want to put the old way of defining your niche, right? So it might be choose random niche according to YouTuber. And then the old result of using the old way, you wind up in a saturated niche. And then the new way is the way that you would do it according to your roadmap, right? You use the billionaire niche research method. And then the new result of using the new way is that you find a non-saturated niche with a painful problem, which makes closing clients easier, right? So you want to include a benefit in the result, and then you top it off with a unique, useful insight related to this activity or step. The unique useful insight, it might be, an article, it might be some more evidence, it might be a book, it might be something that an authority figure in the niche said related to this step. So for example, I might include an article about agencies who use the billionaire niche research method have 10 times faster growth, right? Just this unique useful insight that also has to do with credibility, okay? And to show you what this guy's looks like, so his example is, right? So right here we have step 1 or activity 1, whatever you want to call it. Craft a stellar sales argument and transpose it in a video format, right? So that right here, that's the activity / step. And then next we give the old way. So you'll see right here, he has the old way, the traditional way of advertising. And he goes into talking about the old way of doing it. And see, he's recording right here. This is a graph from Zillow. So throughout your sales letter, if you put these this kind of more credibility and evidence, it really helps support your overall thesis, okay? So he goes into talking about the old way, and then he starts talking about the new way. So look, the new way of generating high quality leads. Well, first what he does is he doesn't just talk about this. He doesn't just talk about the old way. He says the old result of using the old way, right? So he says right here, the traditional way of advertising in real estate, he talks about it. And then right here, he goes into the results of using the old way. Once he's given the old way and the old result, then he gives the new way of generating high quality leads, right? So this is the new way of doing things, and we're at this part, and then he gives the new benefit or the new result and the new benefit of doing it the new way. So right here, see the old way versus the new way, another little graph adds to the credibility. And then right here, his unique, useful insight, after he gives the benefit, he's quoting Dan Kennedy, right? So an authoritative figure who's kind of backing up stuff on this is his unique, useful insight, and he's quoting stuff that Dan Kennedy said about the new way, right? So it's related to his step activity, and his step/activity is craft a stellar sales argument and transpose into video format. So then he gives a little quote about what Dan Kennedy, who has a big reputation in marketing, and see how he quotes Dan Kennedy. So Dan Kennedy, featured in Forbes, authored 32 books, named top 100 books by business for 9 consecutive years, earned $100,000 per speech, right? So he's using this person's claim, so he's actually using the credibility of this person to his advantage to make his thesis more believable, okay? So this is kind of what it looks like, and again, you want to copy this chart and put it into a spreadsheet, and before you make your thesis, you want to map out each section like this just really quickly, and then you want to take these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you want to take these 6 points and you want to kind of turn them into a format like this. Depending on if you use a Google Doc to make your VSL or a Google slide, it might be a little shorter, it might be a little longer, but that's what it looks like. And you want to do this for all 4 of your activities or your steps. And remember, you're not talking about your service. You're literally just making this roadmap, this guide for the prospects. This is genuine value. And this part of your sales letter, it's going to take the longest to finish. You might improve it in the future. So you really take your time on it. And don't worry about how long it is. Just focus on providing as much value as possible for each step. The more value you provide, the more the prospects are going to trust you. So if you look at his, this is why it's 2 hours long. Because look, each step, he's literally, they could use this document and get the result. If they could literally use this document and follow it and get the result that he's talking about. Look at it, it just keeps going. It's 74 slides, and the majority of these slides are him going into his part of him going into his thesis, okay? And your ultimate goal of your thesis is to make it so valuable that the viewer is motivated to share it with other people in the niche. So if I'm a real estate agent and I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, this is really valuable. I'm going to show it to my friend Bob, who's also a real estate agent. And then what happens is you have what's called a viral dynamic video sales letter. And your video sales letter starts getting shared around, and you start getting free traffic driven to your sales letter because it's so valuable that people in the niche just want to share it with other people who are in the niche, and they want everyone to know that they were the one who discovered it, right? So that's really what you want. If you can do that, you're going to drive so much organic traffic, and even better, there literally are agents who post this video sales letter on their social media, said, hey, I just watched this really valuable video from Prob. You guys, if you are agents, I definitely recommend checking it out. He did not pay those agents. That is a free shout out to his video sales letter funnel, right? So guys, that's what you should be thinking when you're making your thesis is, I'm going to make this so valuable that the real estate agents, the chiropractors, the car detailers who are viewing it are going to share it with all their friends who are in the same niche, okay? So again, this part's going to take the longest. Take your time on it. This whole entire sales letter should take you anywhere from, 5 days to 2 weeks to make. But really take your time on this part and just go all in on sharing value, okay? So after that, we're going to give our summary. And after presenting all the activities / steps, a summary is used to tie all the points back together in the viewer's mind. Humans have bad memories and oftentimes need to be reminded of key points. So, your thesis section will likely be really long. So reminding them of all the activity and steps immediately after will increase the chances of them comprehending your video sales letter or your thesis, okay? So you can use this template. So So as you can see, all you need to do is activity 1, activity 2, activity 3, and activity 4, etc. And you can achieve, and then, achieve desired state from headline. So for example, so as you can see, all you need to do is 1, define your niche, 2, build an outbound prospecting infrastructure, 3, create sales assets, 4, iterate and scale, and you can close 5 to 10 additional agency clients in the next 60 days. And I'll actually go ahead and show you guys his summary. Let me scroll down. This thing is really long. So you guys can see this is his thesis right here. Like, he's going into it, right? he's just giving away so much value to the point where the person could use it and like genuinely, start seeing results, right? And this is another example of a unique insight right here, right? So a flow chart, that's another example. Oh wait, let me scroll up. Okay, so step 5, we should have the summary any second now. Okay, here it is. So this is his summary right here. Look. Now all you can see, all of you, oh shoot, this isn't it. What the heck? Okay, I think he only put it in the video. He might not have put it in the document. Yeah, because what you want to do sometimes is like the one that's the actual document that you send out on your email list, you want to edit a couple things and make it different from the one that's in the video, because you can actually write out your video sales letter and use that as well. But I don't want to get off topic. Let me just find his summary real quick so I can kind of show you guys what it looks like. And it should be in here. And he literally gives a call script in this to call the leads, which that's just another example of, how valuable he goes into. Okay, so I can't find the summary. I'm sure it's in here, but it's going to look something like this, right? Where you kind of just give us, after you finish your entire thesis, you just give a quick summary, okay? So step 7 is option 1 and option 2. So what you're doing is, at this point, the viewer has bought into your thesis, and it's time to give them a few options on how they can implement it. So the goal is to set up your service or product as the clear best option of implementation. You do this by comparing option 1, which is the hard and unfavorable implementation path, to option 2, which is the easy and favorable implementation path. And option 1 will normally be doing it themselves or working with another company, while option 2 will be working with you. So you're positioning yourself as the best option to implement your thesis, which to them is this roadmap to achieve the result that's in the headline. So you can use this template right here. Now there are a few ways to achieve this. Option 1 is, insert alternative, which might be do it yourself, work with another company, etc. However, then you want to list a couple of problems of using option 1, and then you say at the end, or you can use and then your service and achieve benefit, which is faster, better, and cheaper. So for example, you can implement this entire roadmap yourself. However, the skills needed are so specialized, it will likely take you 10 hours per day, every day for 6 to 12 months without any outside help. So that's the example of the negative option, the negative problem with doing it themselves. Every month that you spend trying to do it yourself, you miss out on the opportunity cost of having it quickly implemented by an expert. Another one is, this one you might not want to use this, but it's just another example. You will be forced to choose between implementing this roadmap or hanging out with friends and family, right? Or you can work with leadodyssey.io and have the entire system set up for you in 7 days for 1/10 of the price and time. Right, so this is just an example of implementing this template. So you're basically just setting yourself up as the better option. So you can see he does that right here. He basically says the one of the options is, dude, I could get lost. This document is just so long. So like right here, see he has. So look, hire an in-house marketing team. This is option 1, right? So he just gives all the negative parts of this. Then he actually gives 3 options. So he does do it yourself and work with a marketing team. Normally you want to do at least 2, which is 1 negative and then 1 that's working with you. Or you can do 2 negative and then 1 that's working with you. So 3 total, right? So hire an in-house marketing team, do it yourself, the opportunity cost, and then hire us, right? And he just goes into all the benefits of working with him. And then again, he lists some more case studies right here. So you can kind of use these again as inspiration. After we position ourselves as the best person to work with, we want to go back into identification. So at this point, the viewer will start wondering if working with you is really the best option for them. So what we want to do is we want to go back to the identification section once again, and you can just use the same points that you used in the first part of your identification section, except you want to frame them like this. So instead of just saying again, like this is for you if you want, you literally just add the word again to it. So for example, instead of like in the first part, we said, this is for you if you want to earn 10K MRR and retire your parents. For the second identification section, we do again, this is for you if you want to do this, right? So again, you know, we're kind of calling out who it's for again. And we're not formatting in the exact same way. So right here, see, he says it right here. So he only uses 2 points. So right, again, this is for single agents and small teams who want their number and their checking account to go up, right? So he's using a little bit of a different one than the first one. He's kind of wording it a little different, but he's using the same format. Again, hundreds of agents have used this to get fantastic results in the shortest amount of time possible. So what you can do is do what he did, where he just says again, and then you list off all these points of who it's for, okay? So this is a really good example of this identification 2 section right here, okay? So we'll go back to this, and again, okay, so the next part is listing more case studies, and this is optional. So again, humans have bad memories. So you want to show them your social proof again, since you just made the claim that working with you is the best option on the market. This will really align all the stars for them. So you can go, you can use the first few case studies again for this section, the ones that you used in the beginning, except this time you might want to go into a little more detail. You know, again, this section is optional. I don't even know if he did it. Again, so look, he lists the case studies again right here. You know, Lisa, Trombetta, Stefan closed an additional 14 deals in less than 12 months. And if you watch the video, he probably goes into a little bit more detail of each case study for the end, right? So you guys can see he's literally following the exact same framework that I'm teaching you guys right now. And this sales letter has generated him a ton of money in a very saturated niche. And he's using the same framework, okay? So again, I would recommend putting the case studies. It's totally optional. I would recommend doing it though. Then you want to do the benefits, okay? So now you're going to sell yourself a little bit more. So you want them to start to paint a picture in their mind of what would happen if they were to work with you. So features tell, benefits sell, right? This is why we're using it to sell ourselves a little bit more. You will go into the features in the next section, but now it's time to focus on how your product or service will improve their life. Ask yourself, what does my service do, and not how does it do it? So here's an example of, you know, talking about your benefits. So here's what's going to happen when you work with us. You will have a packed calendar like never before. You can even hit 10K per month in 60 days. You can finally get rid of doing manual outreach. You can forget about wondering where your next client is coming from. You will feel more motivated to work every day. So these are all just different examples of, you know, how you can frame the benefits. Again, if you go back to, you know, some of these, you can kind of see the way that they position it. So right here, you know, you could say, we'll say in simple terms, think of how likely, but now will help you get your organic lead gen campaign set up and generate you free leads to turn your business into a profit city, right? So that's a benefit, turning your business into a profit city. You can kind of see how some of the other examples do it as well. So we'll go back to this. And then you go into the features. So after you give the benefits, then we actually do go into the features. So now it's finally time to talk about your features, which everyone loves talking about their features, even when they don't need to. But this is the one time that it's okay to talk about your features. So you just made a ton of promises in the benefits section. So now you need to show how those promises are going to be delivered. You can give a monetary value to each feature and create a value stack. Again, this is optional. I'll add this part. I'll add that in right now. So optional. Okay, present the features of your service as the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way to produce the benefit. So you can use this template right here. So how does this work? Before, when you wanted to insert job the feature does, you would have to insert old way. But now you can use this simple feature to achieve outcome without the negative consequences of old way. So actually, if we go back to this is the exact format he used here. So it looks like he actually might have skipped the benefit. Oh, look, so here's the benefit part for him. Look, here's what's going to happen when you work with us. You'll be able to have leads reaching out to you willing to pay the commissions you're worth. Your lead to appointment ratio and appointment to contract ratio is going to skyrocket. So this right here is his benefit feature, okay? And then right here is his features part. So he's literally using this exact same, literally exactly right here. He's using that right here, okay? So again, guys, same exact framework. And like here's another example. So before, when you wanted to book appointments for your agency, you would have to manually send messages every day. But now you can use our automated outbound system to book appointments without feeling like a virtual assistant doing tedious and repetitive tasks. And then if you want, you can insert an image or video demonstration of the features. So for a lot of you guys, your feature is going to be Go High Level as the CRM. What you might want to do is take the screenshot of all Go High Level's features and put that at the bottom, right? And then another example of a featured section is, so right here, before, when you wanted to generate new clients without spending any money on advertising, you would cold call, reach out to past clients for referrals, get the occasional inbound lead from word of mouth if you get lucky or pick an open house for the weekend. But now we'll help you put your organic lead gen campaign set up to generate free leads to turn your business into Profit City without requiring the need to build an audience, right? This is, again, a really good example of, the feature section. So after you've done your features and your benefits, it's the best part of the VSL is the call to action, okay? So now that the viewer understands your thesis, benefits, and features, it's time to get them to book a call with you, okay? So what you're doing next is, so look, this is his call to action. Now, if you're ready to stay one step ahead of your competitors and add profits to your bottom line, please schedule a call here. And he's also saying that in the video, he's saying basically click the button, get a price, right? So again, but some people, because he sends the actual sales letter document out to his email list, so some people might convert this way. So you also want to include a link to book a call in the actual document after you film the video, okay? It was kind of advanced stuff. But so another example is, now, if you're interested in learning more about how we can set up this entire system for you, click the button below and book your strategy session, right? So just any sort of call to action. I actually think that this is a lot better of an example because you're talking about the benefits, right? So if you're ready to stay one step ahead of your competitors and add profits to your bottom line, schedule a call here. So this is actually a better example of a call to action than the one in here. I'm probably going to change this after I record this because this one's just talking about if you can learn about implementing the system, whereas this one talks more about the benefits of booking a call. So I kind of like that better. Just something to keep in mind. And then this is optional. I'd recommend doing it. They actually, urgency really, it works really well on human beings. So you probably want to add this warning section. So the warning section is optional, but it's used to create urgency and scarcity for the viewer watching the call, right? So an example might be, warning, we can only take on one real estate agent per city to ensure the highest quality leads. So if you're interested, make sure to act now and claim your city. Warning, we can only take on 3 new customers per month. So if you're interested, make sure to act now or you may not get another chance until next month, right? So like his warning is limited spots. We can only bring on a certain amount of clients every month. This allows us to give each client the one-on-one attention they need. If you're interested in getting started, act now. Otherwise, you can join our waiting list and be the one to watch your competitors take the market share instead of you, right? So this warning is really gonna hit home. So I would recommend adding a warning right after you give your call to action. It says optional. I see a lot of people don't use it, but all the really good ones, they do have a warning, and it really does make a difference. So right after your call to action, you hit that warning, which creates the urgency, and then after the warning, you give your guarantee, which is like the cherry on top, right? And again, guys, your guarantee is separate from your marketing argument, and that's why we're using it in the end and not our niche-specific headline. So as the cherry on top, you can now introduce your guarantee as a risk reversal. So here's an example. Of course, we back everything up with a guarantee. We guarantee you a minimum of 1 deal closed or your money back. Like most of our clients, you'll close a heck lot more than that. You should be more worried about your next tax bill. And I actually got this one from Prab, right? So right here, so 0 risk. And then this is basically what I just showed you, right? So that's an example of using the guarantee. And then after the guarantee, you're going to do a Q&A, right? So same with him. After the Q&A, that he does a Q&A. And so finally, you're going to end your sales letter with a Q&A section. You want to compile the most popular questions and objections you face from the prospects in your market, followed by a detailed answer for each one. This is known as reverse selling because you're handling the objections before speaking on the call with the prospect. This section can go as long as you want. Just make sure to give a detailed answer to every question/objection. Answer the questions like you would in a sales pitch. So you can look at the examples to see some of the Q&A sections. So again, you can look at his. So what if this doesn't work? He gives an answer. How much time is needed to execute this properly? I don't need this. How much effort is needed? Is there a guarantee? I have a tight budget, but I really want to do this. So a lot of these are probably objections and questions that he gets on sales calls. So every time you get this new big objection on your sales calls, you want to write it down and you want to add it into your video sales letter, and that's where you're going to be changing it and improving it, right? So this section is really just taking the most popular asked questions and objections and just giving this detailed answer to it, and it's basically just the Q&A to kind of end the video sales letter. And this is very effective because the people who are still watching it, like those are the people who are going to buy and who probably already booked a call. So it's very effective that while they're booking a call, because you just hit them with the call to action, the guarantee, and the urgency. So they're on the other window booking a call, and they hear in the background you answering all these objections, which is just priming them for the sales call, right? So guys, this is it. This is the VSL framework. You know, again, this document will be in the description. This document is extremely useful. If you have it while you're creating your VSL, it's going to help you a ton. You know, so make sure to bookmark it and use it as a reference. And while you're crafting your VSL, guys, look at these, the 4 examples that I gave you and kind of see how they transition from step to step. Read through their entire sales letter, see how they do their thesis, see how they word their guarantee, see how they do their urgency, and use it as inspiration to craft your own banger, right? So like I showed you guys in the graph, like no matter where you're at with your agency, yes, you don't need one to close your first 10 clients, but right here, you can be closing so many more clients if you make one of these and you do it right. And to do it right, all you have to do is follow these clear steps that I've given you guys in this document. So seriously, guys, those of you who implement this, please send me a message and just tell me what it does for your agency so I can convince more people how powerful a video sales letter is. And I will see you guys in the next video.